Hey guys, it's Jay. Just really quickly wanted to say that I'm sorry for the bad upload schedule. A lot of stuff just jumped up all at the same time, and been spending a lot of time working on this video and some of the other videos. Also, stick around to the end if you want some extra information on upcoming stuff. The plague of undeath is one that is rarely seen throughout most realms, and even more uncommon in the realm of Etharus. Long sealed away underground by the founders of the realm, it would be the actions of one foolish king that would lead to what might be considered the worst curse to ever befall the realm of Etharus. Many years ago, in a remote part of the realm, a kingdom was being formed under the direction of a wise and noble ruler. Weathered by years but still quite powerful, this man sought a place of refuge from his enemies, who numbered in the many. For this king was a man of justice and strength, and while not a dragon, as many who inhabit Etharus are, his species was still quite notable in ranking. So much so that he had been asked to attend a ceremony at the temple that is in the center of the realm. But his enemies had often disliked him for such things. Thus he fled to the wilds with his followers so that they could live in peace. The area itself was a lightly forested set of plains with lush rivers and materials. These materials were prized highly by the kingdom, thus leading to the construction of the main fortress. The king, followed by his leading general, made sure that the surrounding area would not be disturbed. This was due to a clan of dragons living in the nearby region who prized nature above all else. An alliance was struck, and the kingdom prospered for many years, growing rich on all the valuable materials that were plentiful in the region. But this peace would not last, as there would come a fateful day when the downfall of the kingdom would begin. It was a day like any other in the kingdom. The sun was shining and the rivers were practically overflowing in fish. But all was not as it seemed. During a mining expedition deep into the island, a group of miners stumbled upon the entrance of what appeared to be a tomb sealed behind heavy stone doors. Above these doors was inscribed a set of symbols that none could read, as, unbeknownst to them at the time, the language was that of the founding race, a language that had since been long lost to time. Upon this discovery, the king was called as fast as possible to inspect the ruins. Upon arriving alongside his general, the king immediately declared it as a gift from the gods and assumed that it was a message of their divine right to the land. The order was given to open the vault, and it was done with haste. But this, as it turns out, would be the first of many mistakes that would lead to the unleashing of the undead. For in their haste to open the vault, the king and his men had not read the writings on the door, writing which foretold the events that would follow should the door be opened. The inside of the tomb reeked of dust and mildew as the king and his men proceeded forward. The tomb was dark as night, lit only by a few torches of strange green flames. More writing was scratched on the walls in unreadable hand. Yet down they proceeded, deep into the darkness. Yet what they would find was none short of strange. Upon entering the first chamber of the tomb, it was discovered to have coins of silver and trinkets of strange design. In the middle of the room rested what appeared to be a coffin with a sealed lid. The company wasted no time in cracking the seal open to find what lay inside. But it was not as expected. Inside the coffin there lay an orb of glass slightly bigger than a human head. Inside was frozen a mask of bone, carved in the likeness of a skull. The king was immediately captivated by this item and took it for his own. The rest of the wealth would be distributed over the kingdom as was seen fit. But this was merely the beginnings of the misfortune, for over the course of the next months a madness fell upon the king, driving him deep into solitude and away from his people. His fascination with the orb was nigh impossible to comprehend. It even came to the point where he would mutter strange musings and chants in his sleep. And yet, during all this, the work in the tomb had not stopped. Each day, more silver and strange items were dredged up from beneath the earth. A key set of these items being onyx black armor forged from black steel that was gifted to the guards and the general. And while at first the general was skeptical, upon seeing the power that the armor gave in combat, he quickly accepted the suit as his own. And yet more was unearthed. Cloaks of invisibility were given to the archers, and strange implements were given to the farmers. For all intensive purposes, the kingdom appeared to be thriving. Yet none noticed the darkness that was slowly creeping into the lands. The rivers began to dry, and the grass began to wither. This was all disconcerted, of course, due to the vast amounts of wealth that were being pulled up from the tomb. Then would come the day of reckoning, the day where it would all fall apart. For you see, before the dragons and other races controlled the world, orcs, trolls, and other creatures ran rabid across the lands, and the kingdom was faced with none other than the most powerful force in the world at the time, the Bloodhelm tribe, a tribe of vicious orcs and cyclopses that knew nothing but combat. In the span of a fortnight, they lay siege to the kingdom, cutting off supply routes and burning small villages on the outskirts of the territory. The battle raged on for months, with neither side gaining the upper hand. The orcs had numbers, but the king's men, equipped in their black armor, were nearly impossible to defeat. And with the help of the archers, the losses on the side of the orcs were growing. That was, until they unleashed their shamans. Wielding the fury of many elements, the shamans summoned up a storm the likes of which had never been seen before or since. It was then that the worst happened. Deep in his madness and fearing for his kingdom, the king broke the orb of glass and placed the mask upon his face. In that instant, the fate of the kingdom was sealed. The king let out a mind-ripping scream as his life essence was torn from his body in purple streams to be absorbed by the mask. A rift began to open at his feet and spiral outwards, pouring gray fog into the fortress and castle. The souls of once dead creatures began to take shape as the rift opened larger. From deep beneath the ground, a roar of cataclysmic size could be heard, the inhuman screeching of some kind of beast. If things had not changed before, they changed then. Black lightning hailed from the sky in vicious arcs, each bolt striking on the armored knights of black. Upon being struck, their material forms were destroyed and their souls bound to the armor for the rest of eternity. It is said that this process, while it happens in an instant, drives one insane. The knights would temporarily cease action as the madness claimed them, only to return a few moments later to fight at tenfold strength. The lightning from the sky had somehow empowered their swords and armor. Yet this was not the end. Those gifted with the cloaks of invisibility suffered the opposite. When struck, their souls were ripped away, leaving shadows with a will to kill. Next, those who had died began to come back. Skeletons clawed their way from beneath the ground as corpses began to animate, turning on former allies and foes alike. The armies of the orcs scattered in fear and began to retreat, but they never made it out. From the depths of the tomb, spiders began to boil out, large floods of arachnid creatures swarming from the sole entrance in and out onto the battlefield. Their speed was unmatchable, even for their immense size, and in that mere moment, the armies of the orcs were ripped limb from limb. But there was only one remaining problem. Once started, the curse could not be stopped. At the head of the field, watching as his troops were killed and revived as beasts, the general stood watching in horror as he was spared from this fate. Or at least, so he had thought. In his hands he held a curved greatsword, his black armor shining in the night sky. He had but one choice, End the king now, or it was all over. Little did he know that it was already too late. The kingdom's citizens had been turned to beasts of undeath, zombies, skeletons, mutant spiders, and everything in between. The land was decaying at a rapid pace, turning to fields of dead plant life and gray dirt. The rivers that once flowed with life now boiled with gray mist that began to creep and crawl over the battlefield. Yet the general did not fear, for he had to end the curse. Making his way through, he battled all kinds of monsters and creatures, from undead citizens to armored warriors of the King's Guard. He fought on. It did not matter the wounds he received, for he had to fight on. How long would he fight, it is unknown to even the most powerful lore master. Yet, in the end, he would reach the fated throne room where it had all began. Yet, upon reaching the throne room, he would not find the king. In place of the king was a skeleton wreathed in black flames, the mask still glued to its face. What ensued would shape the history of Etharus forever. It was a battle of immense power, the king and his evil mask versus the valiant heart of the general. At first it appeared as though the king had the advantage, the sheer magical power of the mask overwhelming the general. Yet the general was quick to learn and counter his opponent. As blows were traded between the two opposing forces, the lands outside descended into chaos. From deep within the ground another roar resounded. The ground burst open as a hulking beast tore itself free of the earth. This was what changed history. A terrifying beast of absolute strength and undeath. The primordial of the undead. It had been awakened. Those who remained after this event, who still had their sanity intact, documented it as a towering colossus with spiked bones and 3 heads that blew out black lightning and fire. In the end, this beast was the true power that had been sealed in the mask, the ability to summon a cataclysm itself. After that day, no one knows what happened. Some say that the primordial terrorized the remote islands for a while. Others say that it simply vanished after the storms died down. As for the king and the mask, they were killed by the general at the cost of his own life. Some say that should you manage to find the old fortress, you can still hear the clash of sword against magic, a tribute to that fated day. But what is known is that the event was what gave rise to the lands of the undead in the far reaches of Etharus. Sometime later, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years later, the first of the undead dragons would begin to emerge. How they came to be, no dragon in Etharus knows, not even I. But what little is remembered is that they were believed to have been the offspring of that dragon tribe which the king had respected. But the truth is yet unknown, for those wastelands hold many secrets which are not so easily divulged, even to one such as I, even in the brightest of days. But those are stories for another time. For now, I must bid you adieu. I wish you safe travels, young dragon, and I hope we may meet again someday. Stay safe, and may the wind always find your wings. Hey, you stuck around to the end. Awesome, that means it's announcements time. First of all, I'm gonna say that thank you for hanging out to the end of the video. Means a lot. Second, if you did enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe. Our first subscriber goal, or my first subscriber goal, is 5 subscribers, and then we'll do a 5 subscriber special, and then the next goal after that will be 10 subscribers. And, intervals might change depending on, how big this channel gets and how fast. Third of all,
Um, for those of you who comment below, I'm going to be featuring one comment per video from the comment section. So, yeah, feel free to comment. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it. Um, yeah, okay, so I'm gonna be uploading a Minecraft video here soon, just as, something to watch, like, right afterwards. Also, keep your eyes out for the bloopers reel. Anyway, stay safe, guys. Bye.